In a small village nestled among the dusty, sun-baked hills of the Pashtun lands, there lived a man named Sher Zaman. The air here smelled of warm earth, of wood smoke from the cooking fires, and the sweet scent of apricot blossoms in the spring. Children played games in the narrow lanes, their laughter echoing off the mud-brick walls of the houses. In this village, where everyone knew each other, Sher Zaman was known as the Palawan, the wrestler. But he was not a man to be feared. He was a gentle giant with kind eyes and a smile that could calm even the most troubled heart. He was as strong as the ancient mountains that watched over them all. Sher Zaman's strength did not come from his muscles alone. It came from a deep well of kindness within him, a gift from his parents. He grew up in a humble home, and where his father, a farmer with hands calloused from working the soil, taught him the value of honesty. A man's worth is in his word, his father would say, his voice soft but firm. His mother, a woman with a spirit as warm as the morning sun, taught him compassion. She would often share their modest meals with a traveler or a neighbor in need, teaching Sher Zaman that the greatest strength is found in helping others, not in proving one's power over them. He learned to wrestle not in a grand arena, but in the soft dust of the village common ground. The old wrestlers of the village saw the boy's natural power and guided him. They taught him the grips, the holds, and the graceful movements of the ancient sport. But more importantly, they taught him its purpose. "Wrestling is not for hurting people, my son," an old master told him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "It is a dance of strength and spirit. You learn it to protect the honor of your home, to stand for those who cannot stand for themselves, and to resolve conflicts without shedding blood. It is a tool for justice, not for pride." Sher Zaman took these lessons to heart. He became the village's champion, but his victories were never celebrated with arrogance. His first real match was against a boastful wrestler from a neighboring area who had insulted their village elders. Sher Zaman stepped into the circle, not with anger, but with a calm resolve. The match was long and difficult, a true test of his skill and endurance. He moved with patience and intelligence, using his opponent's aggression against him. When he finally won, he simply helped the defeated man to his feet, offered him a glass of cool water, and reminded him that respect is more valuable than any victory. As the years passed, Sher Zaman became more than just a wrestler. He was the village's guardian. People came to him not just for matters of sport, but for matters of justice. If a powerful landowner tried to take a poor farmer's small plot of land, Sher Zaman would stand with the farmer. He would not use violence. Instead, he would speak with a calm and steady voice, his very presence a reminder of what was right. He had a way of making even the most stubborn men listen. His strength was a shield for the weak, a quiet promise that no one in their village would have to face injustice alone. He was the strong tree that gave shade to all. His acts of kindness were small but constant, like the stream that flowed near the village. He would help an old woman carry her heavy water pot from the well. He would spend his evenings repairing a broken wall for a family whose father was away. These were not grand gestures, but they were the threads that wove the fabric of their community together, making it stronger. He never asked for anything in return. Seeing a smile on someone's face or knowing a family could sleep peacefully was his only reward. He believed that a community is like a body, and if one part is in pain, the whole body suffers. Life was not always easy for Sher Zaman. He faced his own hardships with the same quiet strength. His beloved mother grew frail and fell ill, and he devoted himself to her care. He would spend his days working in the fields to earn a modest living, and his nights by her side telling her stories of the village and the stars. He sold his most prized possession, a beautiful hand-woven rug his father had given him, to buy medicine for her. He never complained. His sacrifice was a silent prayer, an act of love that showed his true character far more than any wrestling match ever could. His duty was to his family and his people. One day an outsider, a merchant known for his cunning, cheated a young villager in a deal, taking his family's only goat. The young man was heartbroken, but he was too afraid to confront the merchant. Sher Zaman heard of this injustice and went to the marketplace. He did not shout or threaten. He simply stood before the merchant's stall, his gaze steady and clear. He spoke of honor and fairness, of how a good name is worth more than all the gold in the world. The merchant, shamed by the quiet dignity of the wrestler, returned the goat. Sher Zaman had won again, not with force but with the power of his integrity. The peace of the village was shattered one summer by the arrival of Akram Khan, a famed wrestler from the big city. He was a mountain of a man, but his heart was filled with arrogance. He was backed by a wealthy landlord who wanted to seize control of the village's water rights. Akram Khan strode into the village square, mocking their simple ways and challenging any man to face him. "Defeat me!" he boomed, "and your village remains yours. But if I win, your water and your pride belong to my master." Fear fell over the village like a dark cloud. No one dared to face such a fearsome opponent. It was then that Sher Zaman stepped forward. He was older now, and his body was tired from years of hard work and sacrifice, but his spirit was as strong as ever. He looked at the worried faces of his people, the children clutching their mother's hands, and he knew he could not remain silent. "I will wrestle you," he said, his voice calm but ringing with courage. "I will not fight for a prize, but for the honor of my home and the future of our children." Akram Khan laughed, but Sher Zaman's quiet confidence unsettled him. The village held its breath, their hope resting on the shoulders of their gentle giant. The day of the match arrived. The entire village gathered around the dusty circle, their faces a mixture of fear and hope. Akram Khan was a storm of aggression, trying to overpower Sher Zaman with brute force from the very start. He was bigger and perhaps stronger, but Sher Zaman was like a great old tree in a storm. He bent but did not break. He weathered the attacks with incredible patience, his feet firm on the earth of his home. He conserved his energy, studying his opponent's every move, waiting for the right moment. He knew this was not just a battle of muscle, but a battle of will. The sun beat down and the match wore on. Akram Khan grew tired and frustrated, his powerful moves becoming sloppy. He had expected a quick victory, not this unbreakable defense. Sher Zaman saw his chance. With a sudden, swift movement that was as much about wisdom as it was about strength, he used Akram Khan's own momentum to his advantage. In a move that was both powerful and graceful, he brought the giant from the city down. A hush fell over the crowd, followed by a great roar of joy. Sher Zaman had won, not with anger or pride, but with the heart and wisdom of a true protector. After the victory, the wealthy landlord offered Sher Zaman a heavy bag of gold coins as his reward. The villagers cheered, expecting him to finally have a fortune for himself. But Sher Zaman gently pushed the bag away. "My reward is the safety of my village," he said simply. "This money does not belong to me. It belongs to all of us." He took the gold and used it not for himself, but for the good of the community. He helped build a small school for the children, repaired the village well so everyone had clean water, and ensured every family had enough grain for the winter. His humility was as great as his strength. Sher Zaman lived out the rest of his days as he always had, in simplicity, kindness, and service to others. He continued to teach the young boys of the village how to wrestle, but he always taught them the lessons of the heart first. "Strength is a responsibility, not a right," he would tell them as they practiced in the soft evening light. "Use it to build, not to break. Use it to protect, not to frighten." He never boasted about his great victory over Akram Khan. For him, it was simply a duty he had performed, a promise he had kept to the people and the place he loved. When Sher Zaman finally passed away, it was a quiet, peaceful end to a life lived with purpose. The entire village mourned him, not as a wrestler, but as a father, a brother, and a friend. They buried him under the shade of a large chinar tree on a hill overlooking the village, a place where he loved to sit and watch the sun set. His grave was simple, marked only by a smooth river stone, but his presence did not leave the village. His story was told and retold, passed down from parents to children, becoming a part of the very air they breathed. Even today, on the 14th of July 2025, his legacy lives on. When a child is afraid, a mother will whisper, "Have the heart of Sher Zaman." When an injustice occurs, the elders will remind each other, "What would Sher Zaman do?" His spirit remains a guiding light, a voice that speaks in the wind that rustles through the apricot trees. It is a voice of courage, of justice, and of the simple, unbreakable truth that the greatest strength a person can have is a good and gentle heart. The legend of the Palawan is the story of the village itself, a story of how one good man can make the world a better place.